Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I am excited to talk to you today because I want to answer a question that many people ask me, and that is how to reset your circadian rhythm. So, this is especially important if you are, I talk to a lot of people who, and a lot of my clients are like this, who they start they feel sleepy during the day or in the evening, and then when it's time to go to bed around 10 o'clock, they feel super wired and they can't fall asleep. So this is really common, and so today I want to talk about why that happens and things that you can do to get your circadian rhythm back in balance. Now, it's true that each of us actually has a different body clock or circadian rhythm that's based on genetics. So, going to bed at 10 and waking up at 6 is the most common, and you'll hear that recommended a lot by sleep experts. However, it's true that there are night owls and early birds who are wired with different circadian rhythms. And so, while we can slightly influence our circadian rhythm with good sleep hygiene and some of the behaviors that we do and things I'll talk about in this episode, a night owl is never going to feel their best waking up early and trying to go to bed early, for example. So we can only change it so much. But let's say someone is used to going to bed at 1 a.m. or not falling asleep till 3 a.m. That's not ideal and doesn't work in our society either, then you can use things like light therapy and habits to move your bedtime to a more appropriate time of, say, 11 p.m. So, again, there are early birds and night owls, but they aren't meant to be okay, someone is an early bird, so they're going to bed at 7 p.m. And a night owl is an idea to be going to bed at 1 a.m. So it's more like an early bird can go to bed around 9. What's called a hummingbird is that more common, socially acceptable schedule of going to bed around 10. A night owl might be around 11. And so your circadian or rhythm or body clock does primarily depend on light to keep it on track. So that's one thing we're going to talk about today. And there was an interesting study. There's a researcher named Nathaniel Kleitman, and he put himself and a colleague in a dark cave for like 28 days or something. So they didn't know when it was day or night. And what he found was that their body clocks were approximately 24 hours, but not exactly 24 hours. And so there were other participants. Some of them were slightly longer than 24 hours. Some people's were shorter, a little bit shorter than 24 hours. So the experiment showed that our body does use light to keep us on this exact 24-hour clock that we as humans have decided that this is how we tell time. And so let's talk about light, but I do want to point out it's not all about light. So you definitely want to listen to the whole episode because the second part of it might surprise you about what else affects our circadian rhythm. But light is definitely the place to start. And so, what happens to a lot of us in this modern day and age is that we don't get enough sunlight during the day. And then we're exposed to artificial blue lights all day and night. And so our body clock gets really confused. And even certain places like where I live in Jackson Hole, where it's winter and it doesn't get light until 7:30 in the morning. And it's dark at 5 o'clock at night for a few months. It snows a lot, it's overcast a lot. Not getting enough sunlight during the winter can also play a role in making it hard for our bodies to have this consistent body clock. And so when we talk about light, what we're referring to with sunlight is a blue light. So that is the type of wavelength that comes from light, and it's measured in lux, Lux. And so blue light is what naturally comes from the sun. So it's not a bad thing. We think of blue light from screens as being a bad thing, but blue light is actually what comes from the sun as well. And we can get up to 100,000 lux on a sunny day. Now, light bulbs and screens also emit blue light, as you probably heard of, and that can range from 50 to 1,000 lux, depending on how bright the building is. And so if you think about it, the light bulb was only invented 150 years ago. That always blows my mind. But that completely changed our lifestyles, and it's given us the ability to stay up all hours of the night if we want to. So, and for if you want to talk about different kinds of blue light or the different levels of blue light, like a living room, for example, might have 200 lux, an office might have 500 lux, a supermarket with all those lights is going to have 1,000 lux. On a rainy day, you're getting 10,000 lux, cloudy day 20,000, a bright day 50,000, and if you're in direct sun, you're getting 100,000 lux. So that's kind of how blue light varies on the spectrum of what we're exposed to on a daily basis. Now, what's interesting when we talk about blue light affecting sleep, as little as 180 lux can alter our body clock. So if the lights are dim, they're less than 180 lux, it's not going to affect your body clock. But if it's brighter than that, then it is. And so that means that if you're inside with bright artificial lights on at night, it's telling your body that it's daytime instead of nighttime. And that blue light is also going to suppress melatonin, the hormone that tells us when it's time to go to sleep. So it's kind of a double whammy where the bright light saying, hey, it's daytime, and then your body isn't producing melatonin to tell it that it's nighttime. Now, the flip side is that if you're indoors all day, you aren't getting enough sunlight, natural sunlight to help set your body clock every day. And so then it can really help to get outside in the sun every day or use a light therapy lamp to regulate your body clock or circadian rhythm. So let's talk about how to set your body clock. So the first thing is to get sunlight, but the timing matters. So if you are the on the hummingbird schedule where bedtime is 10 p.m., wake up is around 6 a.m., then getting 30 to 60 minutes of sunshine at noon will set 80% of your body clock. It's called an anchor light. So that's telling your body this is midday because that's the brightest light you're going to get. And so then that will help set 80% of your clock. Now, if you can't be outside in bright sunlight, like for me, it is overcast right now. So that would only be about 20,000 lux. Ideally, we want to get 100 or, yeah, at least 10,000 lux. Then you can use a light therapy lamp instead. And these lamps are also called happy lamps because they've been known to help with seasonal affective disorder as well. And they're really inexpensive now. I think I got mine for $35. There are dozens, if not hundreds, available on Amazon and other stores. So you do want to look for a lamp with at least 10,000 if you can't get outside at noon. And then the contrast to that is you also do want to avoid that blue light in the evening at least 2 hours before bed. And for all of my clients, I do recommend what I call a power down half hour. I start with a half hour because I know an hour can be a long time, but this is where you stay off screens at least 30 minutes before bed. So instead of watching TV, you can read, meditate, stretch, take a bath, journal, connect with your spouse or friends, and be off screen so you aren't getting exposed to that blue light. You also want to dim the lights in your house the hour or two before bed, or you can put amber light bulbs and lamps in your home and use only those lights before bed. So I do that with like the lamp on my bedside table has an amber light instead of a blue light. So when that's on at night, it's not emitting that blue light. And you can also buy smart light bulbs, although I'm not a super big fan of being connected to wireless all the time, but you can set these light bulbs to be bright during the day and then warmer at night. So that can be a really convenient thing to try as well. Now, if you have bright lights in your home or you still want to watch screens, then you can wear glasses that block out blue light. So you actually want to keep these on until you're in bed and have turned off the light for the night. And there are dozens, hundreds, thousands available as well. My favorite that's a more stylish brand is called Swannies. So I definitely recommend those. And then something else to keep in mind is that you also want your bedroom to be completely dark at night while you're sleeping so that you can get your best quality sleep. So you want to use blackout curtains or wear an eye mask so that you're sleeping in the dark. So light is really important. However, it's not the only factor. And I just want to add that the reason your circadian rhythm is off isn't just because of blue light at night. I mean, if you think about it, millions of people watch TV at night and don't get sunlight during the day and sleep just fine. Now, maybe their quality of sleep is affected for sure, but they're still able to fall asleep. They stay asleep all night. They wake up feeling rested, right? I'm sure your significant other, your friends are like this, which is why it's so frustrating when we can't sleep and we're trying to do all the right things. And we know people who can do all the wrong things and still sleep just fine. So, many of my clients already know this about blue light. You probably do too. I mean, this information is everywhere. And so they're either aren't watching screens at night, they're wearing blue blocking glasses, or they've tried this and they still can't sleep. And this happened to me too. I remember when I couldn't sleep, I followed all of those sleep rules that I read online. I stopped watching TV at night. I started using a happy light, and it felt great to sit in front of that light in the morning, but it didn't help my sleep at all, which was extremely frustrating because I was trying to do all the right things and still couldn't friggin' sleep. So I just want you to know that watching Netflix at night is likely not the only reason you can't sleep. If it is, then you can make these changes to light, have lights dim at night, get sunlight during the day. If that works for you, if that fixes your sleep problems, great. You are good to go. If that doesn't, then there's something else going on. And likely it's that if your circadian rhythm is off, if you can't fall asleep at bedtime, if you're feeling that wired but tired feeling at night, like you get that second wind, your body's actually releasing cortisol at night when it shouldn't be. So, our circadian rhythm is a lot regulated by our hormones. And cortisol is the hormone that wakes us up in the morning and keeps us alert throughout the day. And so it should be lowest first thing in the morning, and then it spikes to its highest point within 2 hours of waking up. And then it gradually goes down throughout the day. That's what the pattern should look like. Now, I'm sure you know cortisol is also one of your stress hormones and it's anti-inflammatory hormone. So if you have stress or inflammation at night, your body's going to release cortisol then. And what cortisol does is it gives us energy, it makes our mind race, it increases our heartbeat, blood pressure, and body temperature. All those things are going to make it impossible to sleep. That's what's supposed to happen when we're being chased by a bear in the woods, not when we're trying to sleep at night. And so many of my clients have this high cortisol at bedtime or in the middle of the night, which totally explains why they aren't sleeping. So their cortisol pattern is completely inverted, or it's just slightly higher at night or at bedtime, and it's keeping them awake. And so you can see this on the Dutch test that I do. This is a dried urine hormone test. It looks at sex hormones. It also looks at your cortisol pattern. So this is really important to see what's going on with cortisol. Okay, so why would cortisol be high at night? That is the question. And the most common reasons are going to be low blood sugar, and blood sugar issues is a huge one. Food sensitivities, a pathogen in the gut, and having an unhealthy gut in general is going to lead to all this increased inflammation. Pathogens are most active at night, so they cause the body to release cortisol. And I've talked about all of these things in previous episodes. And the fourth common reason is liver detox issues. So the liver is also most active at night and trying to get rid of toxins. And if it can't, then those toxins circulate around, causing a lot of inflammation. Your body releases cortisol, it's going to wake you up. So there are many other imbalances in the body that I look for that affect sleep. But if you feel wired but tired at night, it is likely because of cortisol. Or if your body isn't making much cortisol anymore, then it resorts to adrenaline instead, which is going to 10 times, the that effect that cortisol would have of putting you in that stress response and making you feel wired, heart racing, mind racing, all of that. So, really, the key to resetting your circadian rhythm is to find out why cortisol is high at night and address that. So, is it low blood sugar? Is it food sensitivities? Is it gut health? Is it liver function? What's going on? Like, that is really the key. And you can take a supplement to lower cortisol, but I really caution against this, especially long term, especially without testing and knowing what's going on with your cortisol and addressing why your body's releasing cortisol. Because your body's releasing cortisol for a reason. It's doing it to fight stress and inflammation. So if you take a supplement to suppress that, you're interfering with your body's ability to deal with that stress and inflammation. And even if your cortisol is high at night, it could be low overall. So, forcing your body to lower cortisol can make you feel even worse and have less energy and be really bad for you in the long term. Again, it's anti inflammatory. And so, if you suppress cortisol, then it's not fighting inflammation anymore. And then inflammation is running rampant in your body. So, it's just going to make things worse. So, this is what my team and I do at the Complete Sleep Solution is we help you reset your circadian rhythm so you can sleep normally. So yes, if light therapy is going to help, then we're going to recommend that, but we're really using functional lab testing to find what's causing that stress and inflammation in your body. And functional lab testing shows how the different systems in your body are working so we know what to fix. It's kind of like how a car mechanic plugs your engine into that diagnostic machine to see what's wrong. That's what functional lab testing does for our bodies. It shows what's wrong. And so then we give you a plan to reduce that stress and inflammation so that you can fall asleep easily and stay asleep all night, as I'm sure you would love to do. And this is possible for you. I just want you to know that. Like, we as humans are meant to sleep well. We need sleep, our bodies need sleep, our minds sleep. It's what we're meant to do. We have evolved for tens of thousands of years without evolving out of the need to spend a third of our lives asleep. So it's something that's very important and that we are able to do. And if you can't, it's just a matter of finding out what's getting in the way of that and fixing it. And that is what we can help you with the lab testing that we do. And so you are welcome to book a free consultation with me to talk about what's going on with your sleep, find out for the how the program works, see if you're a good fit for the program, and get started so you can start sleeping better soon. All right, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week.